This is Ross with Hamilbro Studios in Labor 12, and I just wanted to run through a quick tutorial on how to create stems out of Logic. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of set this up so I can show you a few different things that might be pertinent. So I'm going to go here and create a track stack right there, a summing stack. And so what this does is it basically puts all of these tracks in under a single fader, and you can also add effects to it. So it's called Sum One. You can double click it and call it whatever. And so what we're going to look at is a couple of different things that you need to know. So when recording music, and all of these are actually stems from a song that I'm editing for a video we're working on. But whenever Labor 12 was recording our album, I had to send stems to our engineer, and I had several track stacks. And so that's why I went ahead and created this one, because it's important that you be aware of this. So the first thing we're going to do is just look at the basics on creating stems. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to click, click on this first one, hold shift, and then go down to the bottom. And these that are muted or grayed out, they will be included, but they should be just blank. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go File, Export, 6 tracks as audio files, or you can go all tracks as audio files. That's totally up to you, but since I'm excluding the contents of this track stack, I'm just going to go 6 tracks as audio files, and that number will change depending on how many tracks you have selected. But I'm going to go ahead and hit this, and then I like to do trim silence at file end. That just kind of helps save a little bit of data, not much. Always go out to wave because it's more universally accepted. Bit depth, I always go 24. If you record it in 32-bit, you could do that. I normally don't because it's overkill at this point. Um, 1 file per track is grayed out. That's fine. If you want these to be raw stems, you can bypass effects plugins. You can include an audio tail if you have something like a reverb that is, once the audio region has ended, it still carries a little bit of information out, or a delay. Include volume pan automation. Um, for us, I didn't check this box because it didn't make sense. I was going to let the mixing engineer take care of that, but you can if you want. That will include all of your, like it says, volume and pan automation. Include tempo information. I include that just to be on the safe side. Normalize, I always turn this off. Now, you have to make sure your gain staging is set correctly and that you don't have anything clipping in your files. I'll normally move this off here, but I'll normally record all of my stuff to around -6 decibels so that nothing should be clipping, but make sure that is all cleaned up for this. So you've got normalize on, overload protection only, which keeps it from clipping, or off. I like to go with off, like I said. Add resulting files to project browser. I don't ever do that because I don't need to. I've got everything I need here. But if you're bouncing stuff down and just to save processing power, you can. And that'll bring that back in your project browser. Then down here, we have our file naming convention, or they call it a file name pattern. I like to go project name, custom, track name, and then in the custom, I hit shift and then the minus key to put in an underscore so that everything is nice and tidy for whoever you're sending it to. You can also add these different elements, track name, track number, bar range, time range, increment, year, month, day, hour, minute, second. I don't typically do really any of that. I've not needed to so far. And then down here, file name example, it will show you what the file name will look like. This is just an example. It will rename everything according to the tracks you have. So from there, you find your file where this is going. Studios 2023. Just create a new folder called Stems Tutorial. If I can type, I'm going to create this. And then I'm going to export. It's going to run through everything. There's very few effects getting used on this. This was a pre-made song that I just needed the stems for so I could extend it and cut out some of the things that I really didn't like with it for my needs. But I digress. So all of that's done. It will take longer. Obviously, if you have more tracks, if you have a lot of effects going on, it will take longer, but it's still a pretty quick process. So now we come to the track stack. And I had a bunch of track stacks because we were recording the way we had to do our drums. I had to mix some different microphones together just to get the room tone the same on everything. So I ended up doing this just to, simplify things for our engineer. But track stacks are really useful, especially if you've got a group of things that are kind of pre-mixed if you want to be able to automate them all together without using a VCA. Because a VCA, I don't think you can actually export because all it is a fader controller. So it's going to help you automate all of your sub clips, but this will allow you to just export whatever is under the track stack. So same thing here. I'm going to go export. One track is an audio file. So that's going to give us the option to just put out that single track stack. I'm not going to do it because you already know how to export this. But one of the other handy things is that you can actually export the individual things under your track stack. So you may need to do that. You may not need to. It's really up to you. But this is the way that I create stems. I find it to be very effective. And then is pretty much it. I don't think there's a whole lot more to it than that. The more complicated your project, you might have to do a few extra things just to clean it up. But beyond that, it's a really straightforward process. So, also to give credit where credit's due, although I didn't use this song in this project, this was a song from Adam Sabin called "The Innocent Song." It's available on Soundstripe. So, anyway, I hope that answers your questions on creating stems in Logic Pro X. This should be one of the, may not be the newest version, but it's 10.7.8. And yeah, that just about wraps it up.